Welcome to Winter Grace Senior Ministries. I am Debbie Bergio. One of the most important things that we can do for ourselves and our loved ones is estate planning. I am joined today by Susanna Simpson, Elder Share about estate planning with us today. Susanna, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be talking to you today about this very important subject for our clients, and especially our senior clients as they prepare for the next phases of their lives.
So what all is involved? What are some of the things involved in estate planning?
So estate planning basically is just making sure that the legacy in terms of your property that you are leaving behind is going to go to the people to whom you wish it to go. So you don't need to be wealthy. People hear the word estate and they think, oh, I don't have much. I don't really have an estate. But that's just the term of art for the property that you have. Your furniture, your jewelry, the things that you've collected over the years in your home. And in addition to that, of course, your money, which can be in the form of bank accounts or investments or retirement accounts, CDs, all those sorts of things. So when you set up an estate plan, you get to choose who is going to be your beneficiary, rather than the state making that decision for you based on the guidelines that are in place if you die what's called intestate, that is without a will. So typically we prepare wills for our clients, or there's another way to go about this, and that is by setting up what's known as a revocable living trust.
Okay.
The revocable living trust gives you two extra benefits as opposed to just having a will. I do find clients sometimes have a misconception. They think that if they have a will, they're going to avoid the probate process with the Register of Wills office, and that isn't the case. If you have a will, or if you don't have a will, your estate will go through the probate process in the county where you were resident and domiciled at the time of your death. If instead you have a trust and you've titled your assets into the trust, you avoid probate. So things can happen much more quickly. Your assets can be transferred much more quickly out to the beneficiaries. And that's great for your loved ones after you pass away. What's good for you is, as I said, it's a living trust. So it goes into effect while you are alive. And that means you can name in that document a guardian angel to kind of take care of you and handle all of your financial affairs for you if you get dementia or Alzheimer's, or there's some other reason. Sometimes some of my clients are just tired of paying the bills. So they want to leave that to somebody else. And so they can do that by naming a successor trustee in their trust document. And for some reason, that tends to work better with financial institutions than only having a power of attorney.
Okay, so power of attorney is another form, another document that we should have.
Exactly. So a part of your estate plan, you would either have the will or the trust that we mentioned, and we would prepare powers of attorney for you, because even if you have a trust, your life insurance and your retirement passes via beneficiary designation. Those are forms that you fill out with those institutions who hold those policies for you. So you would designate on there who is going to receive those funds after you pass. But if you're alive and something happens and you need to gain access to those funds, but you can't because you have dementia or Alzheimer's, then your agent under the power of attorney can do that for you. The powers of attorney also have, they can deal with your electronic life, so deal with your Facebook account, Instagram, all those sorts of things. They can hire care providers for you. They can make sure that the right people are visiting you. If there's, sometimes families have issues and you don't want certain people visiting you, they can provide guidance with who should be allowed to see you or not. All kinds of powers can be put into the power of attorney.
Okay.
So in Maryland, there is a Maryland statutory power of attorney that the banks are required to accept. And in addition to that, I provide my clients with another power of attorney that has more powers in it that I think they might want to grant. their agents.
Okay, and then I know there are other documents as well, advanced directives and.
Yes, so there's advanced medical directives. We sometimes confuse that term with living will. I know once I went to volunteer at a senior center and I was providing living wills, and a couple of them, the seniors were unhappy with me because I wasn't writing their wills. So, so I
Okay.
like to use the word advanced medical directive. So you get to say in advance what kind of healthcare treatment you would like to have or not have if you are unable to tell the doctor yourself what you want.
I see.
And typically that's if you're in a terminal end stage condition and you are on life support, it's allowing them to take you off life support.
I see.
What goes along with that is the appointment of healthcare agent. That could be someone different than who you appointed to take care of your finances, because you might have, you know, a daughter who is a CPA, but a son who is a nurse. So you would name the son to do the medical and the daughter to do the finances.
Right,
For
right.
example, we also prepare an advanced mental health care directive. So you
Okay.
can decide in advance whether or not you would accept mental health care treatment. You know, people with Alzheimer's, a lot of times they don't realize that there's anything wrong with them. I mean, they might in the beginning, which is terrible, but then it gets to a point where they don't know. And so they would refuse treatment. So you can decide in advance that you would accept treatment.
Okay.
Finally, we prepare an authority to dispose of remains. So for most clients, that's really not that big of an issue if their spouse or children are still alive. But for my single clients, if they don't have that immediate family member, I had a case maybe 15 years ago where I had an existing client, but her cousin died in the Carolinas. And she'd been named the medical agent and the personal representative under the will in the Carolinas. I didn't do that because I'm not licensed in Carolina. But anyway, so her cousin died and she came to me and she said, we want to move her remains to Pennsylvania, which is where our family cemetery is. And the funeral home said, no, you are just the cousin and we don't have authority to do that. So after some research and talking to like the Funeral Directors Association for the nation, they said, oh, well, there is this document. So ever since then, we've been including that in our package for our clients. So they can be absolutely sure that their remains will be respected and taken care of in the way they choose. And they can also set forth in there. A lot of people just leave it up to their family. My clients coming in with pictures of their tombstones, you know, and everything all planned out, so we can put that all in there for them.
Oh, that's really good to know.
So that's pretty much the package of documents. Yes.
Okay, so when someone calls your office, what's the process to get all of this in motion?
All right. So we email them most of the time, sometimes snail mail them what's called a summary of assets and liabilities, because we really need to know what you have before we can tell you our suggestions on how to help you get that to where you want it to go. And it's important for that reason. It's important to determine if you have any estate or inheritance tax issues. And also it's very important so that people know where things are. You know, a lot of people are doing all online banking now, and we have clients come in with a laptop. They say, my brother just died. Everything was on this laptop. I don't know how to get into it. I don't know any passwords. So this summary that we asked you to fill out fulfills a lot of different purposes. Now, people aren't always, you know, up to speed by the time we get to the conference. So we'll end up a lot of times helping them fill that out. But the more they fill that out in advance, the better. So we go through all of that with them, or I go through all of that with them. And then they let me know how they want the assets distributed, and we talk about the pros and cons of different things. We talk about tax issues, if there are any. And then at the end of the conversation, I give them a couple of options, and then they can decide which package they'd like to go with.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So you are in the PG, Montgomery, Howard area. Is that correct?
Yes, so my office is literally in the very northeast corner of Montgomery County.
Okay.
So I go 2 miles one direction and I'm in PG County, and about 3 miles the other direction and I'm in Howard County.
Okay.
So most of my clients are based in Howard County, then I would say Montgomery, then PG County. I'm also licensed in DC and Virginia, so I have clients in those jurisdictions as well.
Oh, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
So if we've come, we set up our documents with you, and they are kept in safekeeping with you, or where are people supposed to keep these things? That's another question that I've had, and we do get a lot. And so I thought, well, I'll have you here, I would ask.
Sure. So that's a very good question, and that is something that we do go over with our clients. So we prepare a package for our clients with all of their original documents, and we put everything on a disk, PDF for them. And what we suggest is that you keep them in a fireproof box at home, and you let your backup person know how to get into the box. It's up to you if you want to share with them what the documents say, and that's a personal decision, but they should definitely know how to be able to access the documents. We keep an electronic copy of all the documents in a cloud service, so that, you know, sometimes someone will call and say, hey, my mom's in the hospital, and we'll get mom on the phone, and mom will say, yeah, can you just email my daughter a copy? And we'll go ahead and do that. But I think it's best if the client has the documents themselves. In the old days, we used to file them with the Register of Wills, but they have so many of these, they prefer like not to have, you know, it all stored with them, because it's a lot of storage space for them. Something else people sometimes do is have them in a safe deposit box at the bank, and that can be such a pain in the neck, because if the bank knows that the person who owned the box passed away, the Register of Wills literally needs to go down to that branch and be there when the box is opened. So I've had a couple of field trips with the Register of Wills over the years going to the bank. And then I had a horror story one time where my client's brother died, and his will was at a bank in DC that was in the process of closing that location and moving actually to Towson. And it took months. We couldn't get into that box, even with a court order. It was just back and forth and a pain in the neck, and everything was up in limbo. And in the end, when we finally got the will, the sister wasn't even named the personal representative, nor was she named the beneficiary. An attorney was, and he had left everything to charity. So she went through all that time and hassle and wondering, and then she was out.
I am sure in your career that you have encountered many different stories.
Yeah.
Sure. Susanna, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us and being a part of our event. Everyone can contact you on the information that's going to be below this video on the webpage and all that things. But as you've been in this area of law, how did you, I want to ask you one more question. How did you end up in this area of law? I'm curious. That's the specialization.
So the part I like best about being an attorney is getting to know my clients on a deeper level and being able to help them in a way that they feel secure in what they are doing. They feel secure that their family knows what their wishes are on many different levels and aspects, and they kind of feel like they've checked off that box. And most of the time, you know, it's very one-on-one, and there isn't a lot of acrimony, though that can come up, and we can take care of that. Most of the time, it's just meeting very pleasant people and just talking to them about their lives and their stories. Today, I learned about one of my clients his sister-in-law died, so we're researching mineral rights in a different state, and we learned all about the family history going back for generations
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
it can be really interesting and fun. So I like it
Absolutely.
a lot. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I'm always curious to know how people end up going in the directions that they go, and I appreciate you sharing your story
Mm-hmm.
and all
Well,
of the
thank
other
you so
information.
much. I love
Well, like
being
I said,
here.
thank you for being a part, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.